Book 1. The Warrior Supreme Leo Blood and Bone. The Battle of the Crown. Written by Grizzly Ending. Please enjoy the tale. Like, subscribe, comment, and ask if you wish to have more tales brought out or just like it in general. Please enjoy the music as well. New things will start being placed out. All handwritten and only AI voiced for better storytelling. Prologue. The Warrior Supreme and the Betrayer Queen. In the ancient kingdom of Vendoria, where mountains kissed the sky and rivers whispered tales of old, lived Lio, the Warrior Supreme. Known for his unmatched skill and unwavering honor, Lio was the realm's steadfast protector. By his side stood the Warrior King, his closest ally, who had recently married a queen named Ceres, whose beauty was the subject of many whispers. But Ceres held dark secrets. Though she was the king's lover, her heart was not loyal. In shadows, she plotted with enemies, seeking power for herself. One moonlit night, Lio uncovered her betrayal. Torn between duty and shock, he confronted Ceres, who confessed her desire to rule Vendoria alone. Lio warned the king, who was devastated but grateful. Together, they rallied the kingdom's warriors and banished Ceres, stripping her of her title. Yet, her defeat was only a beginning. Ceres had secretly hidden a deadly truth. The king was no longer alive but an undead servant, a secret she had kept while plotting the takeover. On the harvest moon, the king fully died, and Ceres claimed the throne. Thus began the War of the Crown, the Warrior Supreme versus the Demon Queen. The fate of Vendoria hung in the balance, as honor clashed with dark ambition under the blood-red moon. This is the long tale of war, love, and fate. A good warrior, King Julius, and the battle to stop Ceres. Chapter 1. The days were long and heavy for Lio. He had just buried a friend, the noble King Julius. Let us begin this tale. It was a cold morning when Lio awoke in his tent. He took a deep breath, feeling the sharp chill in the air, waiting to taste the warmth of the sun. Outside, his troops shifted, changing watches and filling their posts. In the distance, he saw the undead massing near the graveyard, their bones clicking and squelching flesh making a haunting chorus. At last, Lio spoke, his voice steady and commanding. "Captain, take 10 men. Get us more trees and logs. Have them start building a wall, with spikes too. The dead won't wait, and neither shall we." The captain nodded sharply, barking orders as the men began chopping and hacking at the forest. As Lio watched, his eyes caught the figure of the ranger commander, a purple-eyed forest elf with brown hair and a long scar across her cheek. Her name was Valen. The trees rumbled softly as Lio started walking toward her. Lio's boots crunched across the frost-covered earth as he crossed the camp. The morning mist hung low between the trees, and every breath escaped his lips in pale clouds. Beyond the half-built barricades, the graveyard sat upon a lonely hill, its crooked stones jutting from the earth like broken teeth. Between them wandered the dead. Valen stood at the edge of the camp, her longbow resting against her shoulder. Her purple eyes were fixed on the distant graveyard. Ravens circled overhead, cawing as if warning the living of what was to come. As Lio approached, she did not turn. "You've been staring at that hill since dawn," he said. Valen's scarred cheek twitched slightly. "And you've been pretending not to worry since dawn," she replied. Lio allowed himself a faint smile. "Then we both fail at our duties." Now she looked at him. "The dead are gathering faster than yesterday." Lio followed her gaze. More shapes emerged from the fog. Skeletons carrying rusted weapons. Corpses draped in rotting armor. Something larger moved behind them, hidden by the mist. "I see them." "No," Valen said quietly. "You don't." She pointed toward the graveyard. Lio narrowed his eyes. At first he saw only the dead. Then the mist shifted. Among the shambling horde stood a tall figure cloaked in crimson. Its armor gleamed black as obsidian. In one skeletal hand it carried a banner made from torn royal cloth. The banner of King Julius. Lio's heart sank. Number. The scouts confirmed it during the night, Valen said. The demon queen has raised the royal dead. For a moment, the cold vanished. Lio remembered Julius laughing beside a campfire years ago, sharing bread after victory, swearing they would defend Vendoria together until their final breath. And now his friend marched at the head of an army of corpses, his hand clenched around the hilt of his sword. Steris. Valen nodded. She wants you to see him. The realization struck immediately. This was not strategy, it was cruelty. The demon queen knew exactly what Julius had meant to him. A horn suddenly sounded from the graveyard. A long, hollow blast. The undead army stopped moving. Then, as one, thousands of lifeless heads turned toward the living camp. The earth trembled. Behind the ranks of skeletons rose something enormous. A giant hand of bone burst from the ground. Soldiers nearby froze in terror. The ground cracked wider. Another hand emerged. Then a skull the size of a watchtower clawed its way from beneath the cemetery. Men dropped tools. Some whispered prayers. Others simply stared. The creature's eye sockets ignited with green fire. Valen cursed under her breath. By the forest spirits. Lio stepped forward, his voice carrying across the camp. Stand your ground. The soldiers looked toward him. Fear still lingered in their eyes. Lio drew his sword. The blade gleamed silver in the weak morning sunlight. We buried our king. He pointed the sword toward the graveyard. But we did not bury our courage. The camp fell silent. We fight not because victory is certain. The giant skeletal titan pulled itself fully from the earth. The men began gripping their weapons tighter. We fight because the dead would steal the future from the living. Cheers began to rise, louder, stronger. And we fight because Julius would have stood beside us. The camp erupted. Weapons slammed against shields. The cry of hundreds of warriors echoed through the forest. Valen smiled. Here is the warrior supreme. Lio lowered his sword and looked once more toward the graveyard. Far away, standing beside the skeletal titan, he could just make out the silhouette of a woman in black armor, the demon queen. Even at this distance, he could feel her eyes upon him. Then she raised a hand. The undead army began to march, and the War of the Crown truly began.